Welcome to Health Talk. I'm Julie Banderas. You know, it's one of the most important relationships in your life, and I bet you ignore it. I'm talking about stress. That's right. Many of us, believe it or not, are actually addicted to stress, and it can be causing some serious health problems. Here to help us find better solutions is Heidi Hanna. She's the author of Stressaholic, 5 Steps to Transform Your Relationship with Stress. Thank you so much for coming in, and I had no idea there was such thing as someone addicted to stress. I mean, how do you know that you're addicted to stress?
Well, I usually tell people the first way to know if you're a stressaholic is just to try to relax for about a minute and see how long it takes for you to...
I think I'm a stressaholic.
See that reaction I get a lot.
That just stressed me out.
If someone starts twitching at the idea of like closing their eyes and taking a deep breath, they probably have a problem with stress. And you know, that's the thing, is stress releases all these chemicals in the brain that actually give us energy and, you know, give us something to feel validated about. So it's actually a good thing. It's just that when we're on all the time and we lose our ability to relax, that it becomes a problem.
Why is stress so bad for us?
So stress in itself is not really all of that bad. The problem is stress without adequate recovery. So stress is a stimulant, and it gives us a reason to adapt. And as long as we have the resources we need to adapt, then it's fine. But the problem is that we have this nagging, chronic, constant stress where we're checking in all of the time, and technology makes information available all the time. So we start to crave it, and then when we actually know we need to take a break, it becomes really difficult because we want that connection again.
It's fascinating because honestly, if you only heard the arguments between my husband and I, because he believes that I put way too much on myself, and it's all brought on by myself. Nobody else is doing this, where I have to plan a million things for my kids when I could just plan one thing for the afternoon, but I like to jam it all in together. And so I guess that's what you're talking about, that a lot of us feel the need to put this on ourselves. I mean, it's not as easy as people think, though. I mean, how, I guess, should people manage their stress if you're a stressaholic?
Well, the first thing I think is to just become aware. So stress is stimulating. It gives us energy. You know, a lot of people wait to the last minute to get things done because they get that surge of stress. So to understand that it is a stimulant, and that's good, but that also it can be a distraction from other things that we don't want to deal with. It can keep us from feeling lonely or bored or isolated, and so we just go back into work again. And it also makes us feel validated. You know, in today's society, the busier you are, the more stress you have, the more important you are. And I remember not that long ago, actually, checking email. It had been like 20 minutes, and I checked email, and there was nothing. And I started to tear up, and I was like, no one needs me anymore, you know? So there's this interesting void that we feel when we're not stressed out. And some of that's a physical response to losing the stimulation that we have to retrain ourselves to be able to respond.
We have to train ourselves to slow down, especially for those who live in New York City, especially for moms. No offense to dads, but I feel like moms put so much on themselves to want to do more. I recently read an article about how women actually are bitter toward their husbands because the husbands don't do as much. It's not that they don't want to, they just know that there's not the need. They seem to see the reality in all of it, whereas us moms tend to overdo it.
Right, and moms also want to. I mean, that's part of the challenge.
That's it. We want to, but in the end of the day, we're really stressed out.
Yes, and it's so important. I know that this is a little bit cliche, but we have to put our oxygen mask on first, or we can't take care of anybody else. So the problem today is people are burning out and exhausted and just going through the motions, and they're not really showing up. They're doing so many things. They're multitasking, so they're kind of here, but they're kind of there, and they're all over the place, and it's exhausting. Okay, so there's health consequences of that. We know that stress is actually related to 75 to 90% of medical visits.
So we need to retrain ourselves. How do we retrain ourselves from becoming less stressed?
So the biggest thing is to become aware that, you know, there is this challenge.
I have the problem. I am aware. I've just recognized it in this interview.
That's right. I am a stressaholic.
Yes,
and then we start training ourselves to do things differently, a little bit at a time. So we know meditation is very helpful for the brain and calming down and learning to breathe again and learning to be able to relax. So when I mentioned 1 minute of stillness, you became anxious. But I wouldn't want to push you to do 20 minutes of meditation, just like I wouldn't ask you to go run a marathon the first time you do training.
I have run a marathon because I wanted to stress myself out 3 months before my wedding date.
So, you are a stressaholic. Yes. So what we do is we break it down into smaller chunks. 3 to 5 minutes a few times a day can be just as effective as sitting down and doing 20 minutes of meditation at one time. Scheduling breaks. I do a 50-minute work hour. So for every hour of work, 10 minutes, I actually check out. I kind of disengage from what I was doing.
How do you check out, though? I mean, with telephones sometimes with our phones, it's impossible to check out. I mean, you step away from your computer, yes, but we all have handheld devices. Right. We're all checking our emails like you did, where that day you broke down in tears because you didn't get an email in 20 minutes. Me. Yes. So how do you check out? Because everywhere you go, there's electronics, you know, equipment.
You turn it off. You turn it off. You don't put it on vibrate. You
just
turn
sit
it
in
off.
The quiet in your office?
And the best thing to do is have something to guide you. So find a guided meditation or listen to a song. Something as simple as listening to a song, but actually saying, I'm going to be fully present with this song. I'm going to listen to the words. And when my mind starts to get distracted, I'm going to pull it back. So just like resistance training in the gym, you know, you do bicep curls, you're resisting gravity. We do the same thing with the mind. So as I start to feel pulled away, I notice that there's another thought, I let it go, and I come back to the music or the words that I'm listening to or the mantra. And meditation doesn't have to be spiritual or super structured. It's just the idea of being fully present in the moment, not judging our thoughts, and just letting the past go, letting the future go, and being fully present.
It's also still important to remind those, though, that not all stress is bad.
Absolutely. Stress is good. It is a stimulation for us to adapt. So if you look back on your life, usually the times where you feel like you grew the most and learned the most and maybe are the most proud of were really stressful. The key is that we have acute stress that pushes us outside of our comfort zone, and then we have recovery to rebuild and repair. The problem is the nonstop chronic nagging stress that we've all become accustomed to. So just like anything else, we want to oscillate. Heartbeats, brain waves, blood glucose, everything has this rhythm of up and down. But most of us, when it comes to stress, we flatline, and we know flatline's a bad sign. So we need to get that rhythm back again. Stress, recovery. And then we go back into the stress and back into the recovery, a little bit at a time, to retrain the way we think. Then what happens is we see stress as a challenge that we can actually, you know, grow from and learn from, instead of a threat that we have to run away from.
All right. Well, Heidi Hanna, thank you so much, the author of Stressaholic, 5 Steps to Transform Your Relationship with Stress. It sounds like an interesting read. Thank you very much for talking to us. And if you've got a health question, you can send an email to drmanny@foxnews.com. Don't stay stressed out, folks. Thanks for watching.